Okay, the first part of your volleyball rules part of your officiating classes, I'm going to talk about the jobs that everybody has to do. Okay, the volleyball officials, you have what they call the R1, which is the first referee. They're like the head official. They're the one that stands on the stand. They're the ones that are up. Okay, the second referee is the referee that's on the floor. They used to call them the ref and the umpire. They don't do that anymore. It's R1 and R2. And just because they're not the head official, don't think that the person on the bottom has an easy job. They actually have the hardest job because they got to do all the bookkeeping. Okay, you have two line judges, you have a scorekeeper, you have what they call a libero or libero, I've heard it both ways, tracker, and a timekeeper. So these are all your officials. So it's not just the two people that are reffing, it's a lot of other people that have jobs and things that you have to worry about at a volleyball match. Okay. Okay, the first referee during the pre-match, they meet with the coach and the captain. This year it could only be one person. Maybe after this year they'll have more than one. But they meet. But their pre-match, when you're an official, you need to be there 30 minutes before starting time because you got a lot of jobs to do. Okay, you need to check, if you're the first referee, you check the game ball to make sure it's legal colors. There's rules for that in the rule book. You look for a logo. There's like a National Federation logo on them, and they need to be pumped up to 4.3 to 4.6 pounds of pressure. Okay. You inspect the court for the markings. Make sure like the serving area is marked, the tack lines. One of the big problems is center line. If they have a mascot, there has to be some sort of way to tell that the line goes through there. Check for non-playable areas. If you've got spots where you want people to stay out of, so you can discuss that at pre-match. Like I said, benches. If you have low-hanging baskets, if the baskets can't go up, that you have to discuss that because as soon as it hits them, they're out. But if you think they had a play on it, it's a replay. So that's the kind of things you got to discuss with your partner, and you got to look at when you first get there. Your job is to talk to the line judges and let them know what their jobs are. Okay. And then you're the one in charge of the pre-match meeting. Both the officials need to be there, but the head official is the one that conducts the actual, goes through the rules and that kind of stuff. So the pre-match is up to the first official. That's one of their jobs. Okay. The position, when you're the first referee, you're going to be in that elevated platform. Okay. It's going to be at the end of the net. You're going to be opposite of the officials table. You don't want the score table behind you. The second referee needs to be near that scores table so you can check on things. So the up official, basically when you go up there, you don't want to come down unless you really have to. Okay. So and the position, the platform has to be, safe for you to stand on. It has to be padded, and it has to be 2 to 3 feet above the net so that you have an unobstructed view of what's going on in the playing courts. Okay. So some of your jobs, again, when you're the first referee, you're in charge of all the officials, the scorer, the timekeeper, whatever. You make decisions on matters that are not specifically covered by the rules. Okay. So like you're the final voice. They make the final decision if there's a disagreement between officials, like between the line judge and the down judge, whatever. You're the final decision, I guess. And if you have a bad scorekeeper, libero tracker, timer, line judge, whatever, you can, if they're not performing their duties, you can replace them. Okay. You're the one that starts the set with a whistle to signal for serve. So you call for serve and get the match started. You give the signals for loss of rally point or serve violation. Replay, reserve, you give verbal clarifications if it's necessary. The up official watches the ball. Okay, so any kind of violation with like an illegal hit, if the ball is dead, if somebody double hit the ball, all those, that's all the first referee. Okay, you also signal when a timeout is completed. You let them know how many timeouts they've used. You determine illegal hits. Now your job is to look at the serving side. At the moment of serve, you look and see if the players are in the right place. Now remember, they can move as soon as the ball is hit, but it's your job to make sure that you call if they're not in the right place when the ball serves. So, and it's just on the serve side. The other side, the receiving side, that's the other official's job. Okay. And you can determine screening. Screening means they're standing and they're basically interfering with the other side's ability to see the ball. So like if you have somebody standing in the net with their arms up and the ball passes right over their head, that's screening. Okay. You can determine net faults if somebody's in the net, if they hit the net, because that's illegal. You cannot hit the net. unless you do it with your hair. Your hair is okay, but everything else you can't hit the net with, okay? You determine violations in the serving area, like if they step on the line and then serve the ball. You can serve the ball and then go over the line, but you can't. The ball has to be hit and then, before, and you can't touch the line, okay? It's not just go over. You can't touch the line, okay? You determine back row player faults. What that means is if somebody's in the back row, if 3 in the back and 3 in the front, if they go up to the net and hit the ball when it's over the top of the net and hit it over, that's illegal. They can't do that, okay? So, and usually that happens with your setter, but you're the one who determines that, and you can get help from your down official because they have a lineup card. You don't. So they can let you know when you call for serve who's in the back row and who's in the front row. Okay. Determine double faults. Double faults would be a fault on each side. You can determine the number of hits. Obviously 4 hits is illegal. One thing to remember, a block doesn't count as a hit. Determine if the ball is in play or out of play, if it hits the ground, and so on. You're the one that determines rally or loss of point. Rally or point, I should say. Loss of rally means, the other side's getting it, but they also get a point. It used to be you could only get points when you serve, but that was a long time ago. Now, every serve, there's going to be a point. Okay. You can also call for an injury timeout. If you see a player that has signs of a concussion, you need to get him out of the match. Okay. It doesn't matter how much that player wants to stay. They need to be checked out. And if they're not checked out by like an athletic trainer or doctor or whatever, they can't come back in. And you can call that, it's okay. When you're official, you have to take like concussion protocol classes. You really need to make sure if they have any signs of a concussion to get them out of there. Okay. You administer red and yellow cards for players, coaches, team members for misconduct. A yellow card is a warning. If they do it again, they get a red card. That's a point. And if they do it again, or if they do something just bad from the start, like if they go slug somebody, you can give them a red and yellow card. That means you're out. Okay. So it's a yellow card is, knock it off. A red card is a point. And then if they really, like I said, it can be a third violation, or if they really do something bad. Like I'll give her, if somebody swears loud, I'll give them a red card. I'm not warning you because you should be swearing, that kind of stuff. So it depends on what they're doing. Okay. We have something called unnecessary delay. That happens like when the team doesn't get on the floor right away after timeout, and the buzzer's gone off and they're still talking. If they're wearing earrings and you have to tell them to take them off. If they don't go in right, there's all kinds of things and they're in the rule book. And this is something you'll need to check on. I'm not going to go through everything on that, but if you have an unnecessary delay, it's a yellow card. And then if they do it again, it's a red card. This is not a misconduct thing. This is, you guys got to get together. You're not doing things right. You're not following the rules right. Okay. That's more of an unnecessary delay. Okay. And again, notify whoever for the reason for the card. Okay. Tell the coach, tell the player, whatever. Okay. You also whistle the end of the set and signal for the teams to go to the appropriate benches. This year, they didn't switch because of COVID. I'm assuming they'll go back someday to switching. I don't know. Okay. All right. If you're a second referee, like I said, you used to be called the umpire, but now you're the second referee. Okay. You need to be there again, same time as the first referee, 30 minutes before starting time. You've got a lot of work to do. Okay. You got to get there and you got to check on a lot of things. You got to check on the net. You got to check on all kinds of stuff. So it's important that you get there ahead of time. You assist the first referee in pre-match duties. Oh, sorry, I didn't spell duties right there. Again, you guys might be checking the height of the net, and then you might be helping them tighten it up a little bit, or making sure the antennas are straight. There's all kinds of stuff. When you get there, you got to check the net out. You got to check the floor out. You got to check playable, non-playable, and playable areas. You're going to discuss that to say, okay, we're going to let them play over there, but over there is too dangerous. We're not going to let them play there. That kind of stuff. You're going to collect the rosters. When you have the pre-match meeting, you collect the rosters from the coaches, okay, so that you can check them. Make sure that the players are legal. If you have 15 players on the roster and there's 16 players on the floor, there's a problem, okay? So you can, because you get it early enough, you can say, hey, coach, what's going on here? Why do you got an extra player? They can fix the numbers or whatever they need to do. That's called preventive officiating, and it's a really important thing. So you take those, you check them out, and then you give them to your scorekeeper. Okay, your job is to handle the score table. Okay, so you talk to the scorer, you talk to the Libro tracker, and you talk to the timer. Talk about what their jobs are. You check on them during the match. You make sure, you know, they're putting the substitutions in, all that kind of stuff. If there's any issues, that's your job. And you're right there. The second official is right there to check on those things. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why that the first ref is up in the stand away from the table, and then the second one is down there so they can be right there and check on things. You verify the starting lineups that have been entered correctly, okay? And then you're going to check when the match starts. You go out and you check and you make sure everybody's in the same spot. And if they're not, you put them in the right spot. And if the coach wrote down a wrong number, you put that number in there, okay? That's just the way it is. If they mess up, that's not your fault. They're going to have to sub that person out or whatever. But that's your job, is to make sure that both sides are in the right spots when the match starts. Okay. The second referee is going to be in the standing position on the floor opposite the first referee, outside the sideline, and back from the standard. It's funny, you'd think that, you know, you want to be close, but actually it's better to stand back. You can see better. When at the moment of serve, now as a second referee, you're going to be standing on the net opposite the serving, so the receiving team, and you're going to be watching them to make sure they're in the right spot, because sometimes they like to move early or they don't get in the right spot, and then you call them for illegal alignment. Or you also watch, because you cannot block a serve or attack a serve, so you call that too. But as the down official, as the second referee, you do not watch anything about the serve. That is not your job. You're watching the team that's going to get the ball. Okay? During the live ball, the second referee's job is to be on the blocking side of the net. Always on the blocking side of the net. You want to be over there because it's your job to watch the block, to watch the floor underneath, to see if they're going the net. You do not follow the ball. That's the first referee's job. So if you're both following the ball, you're going to be missing a lot of stuff. Because after there's, you know, a play at the net, if you're both watching the ball, there could be somebody going in the net. There could be somebody going over the center line. There could be all kinds of stuff happening. And that's not the first ref's job. That's the second ref's job, to watch that, to make sure that you keep continuing watching the net. So basically, if you're a down official, you watch from the attack line to the tack line, or the 10-foot line to the 10-foot line, and you stay in that area, and you always want to be on the blocking side. Okay? What things you do to help the second referee: if there's something out of their view, if there's like an illegal hit, because it's not your job as a down official to call an illegal hit, but if you see one and you know the first referee can't see it, you can make a signal to them and then they'll call it. It's not something you call as a down official. The up official calls that, but you can help them. You can give them touch signals. You can give them all kinds of stuff by helping them if they can't see. Okay. When the ball stops play, when the first ref blows his whistle, you do not blow your whistle. Okay. There's never double whistles. You mirror what they do, though. If they do, you know, the loss of rally or point, whatever the violation, if it's a touch, if the ball's out or whatever, you mirror them, and then, but you don't call those things. Okay, as a down official, you call things like illegal subs, you call timeouts, you can call net violations, but you don't call the stuff that the first referee. You don't call illegal hits. You don't call 4 hits. None of that stuff is your job. Okay, and again, you determine the alignment of the receiving team at the moment serve and make sure they're in the right places. Okay, the net is your domain. You look at the net, you watch for net faults, which means they're in the net. You look at the center line. Your foot and hand can go over the center line as long as any part stays on that line. But if it goes over the line, that's illegal. Nothing else can go over the line. Okay, like your elbow, your knee, or whatever. No, they can't go over. But your hand and foot can go over the line as long as any part stays on that center line. And that's what you look at as the down official. Okay, you can assist the ref on back row tacks because you have the alignment, so it's easier for you to do that. So you can tell them if there's a back row tack. Okay, you control the entry of the subs into the playing area. So they say sub and you go and you write it down and then you check with the scorekeeper to make sure that they've recorded it. You check the lineup for each team. You have a lineup card before each set. You go out there and you make sure everybody's in the right spot. And if you know what, I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to quit right here because I We'll pick it up here on the second part.